Hi, I'm Christina, and welcome to another installment of All Things Wetland Plants. I work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and we have our cameraman John back with us today. So thanks for being here, John. Today I'm going to talk about how to identify plants using a dichotomous key. So before we dig into what a dichotomous key is, we'll talk about what it's not. So if you have a plant and you don't know what it is, you collect it in the field, you might think about using a field guide. So this is a photographic guide of plants of the Tahoe Basin. So this is relevant for plants in the Lake Tahoe area in California and Nevada. And this goes through plants that are very common in this area. And it starts with plants that are organized by family, and it just has pictures and descriptions, it has photographs and descriptions of the plants that are common in that area. So this is not a dichotomous key, this is a field guide. Another example, this is sort of a combination of a field guide and a dichotomous key. So this is native trees of the southeast. So you can find keys that are very specific to the region that you're working in, or at larger scales, or even to specific types of plants. So this is just for native trees in the southeast region. So a little more broad scale than the Lake Tahoe Basin field guide. This covers trees from about Virginia down to Florida. So this has some great pictures as well, but it also has a key in the front. And this is the part that we refer to as dichotomous. So what this means is, this reminds me of those choose your own adventure books that I used to read when I was a little girl. So we have two couplets is what they're called. One couplet, the first one, sort of starts us out and is really broad about the species that we are, or about the plant that we're unsure of, that we're trying to identify. The first one here is leaves needle-like, scale-like, or owl-shaped, versus leaves not needle-like, scale-like, or owl-shaped. Seed enclosed in an ovary. So that's the first break in this key, and that's how we read it. This first couplet versus the next couplet. And then this key is actually indented. So it starts out with 1, and as you move through the list, we have these indentations. 1, 2, 3, 4. Indented as the key goes down. So that's how you keep your place. Another example of a key that we have, so this is for a state level identification. So if you are working in Montana, this is a great book for you. It's called the Manual of Montana Vascular Plants. And this theoretically has every plant in Montana. And this is organized, a lot of keys are organized alphabetically by family, and then within the family groups, they're organized alphabetically by genera, and then again alphabetically by species within that genera. But this this book is organized phylogenetically. So the plants that are more related to each other are next to each other. So you have to sort of look up which family you're working in the index if you want to go straight to family. This key is organized, this dichotomous key is not indented. So this is a parallel key. We still are working with numbers here, but there's no indentations as we go down the page. All of the couplets have the same margin width. So just both types of keys are great, and they will get you to the plants that you want to ID, but some require just a little more attention to detail than others. Another example of a state level key is the Jepson Manual. This is the higher plants of California. And again, this theoretically has all of the plants that occur in California. And this key is actually organized, this key is structured, has indentations in its structure. It's not, oh, it's upside down. Take this protective cover off. This key has indentations, unlike the last key that we saw for Montana, has the same margin all the way down. This one does not. So as we move down the list here, we have indentations for each new couplet is what we call them. So the first couplet here will tell you, will either take you to a family or it will take you to the next couplet. And it sort of tells you where to go as you read through this. It will tell you, okay, then go to this family versus just keep going down the list. So if you are working in a state or a local area and you're stuck and you don't know which species, or you have to determine between two difficult to identify species, there are some other field guides or other dichotomous keys, that will help you out. So this is one volume of the Intermountain Flora. So this is a multi-volume flora, and this has all of the plants in the intermountain western US. So all of the plants that are in between the Sierra Nevadas and the Rocky Mountains. So this is volume 2, part B, and you can use this if you are working in that region and maybe your local flora or your local dichotomous key isn't broad enough. And then, last but not least, anywhere in the U.S., if you're working anywhere in the U.S. and you're stuck on a plant and you don't know how to ID it, we go to the Flora of North America. And this key is written by experts within each family, and this is, again, a multi-volume flora. I don't think it's yet complete, and this is just volume 7. There are 22 volumes for this flora. And this is very descriptive. It has a lot of details about the species and specific characteristics that are common within families or within genera. One thing that I like to keep on hand when I'm IDing plants is a terminology guide like this. So this is plant identification terminology. This is an illustrated glossary. So depending on which flora you're working in, either your local floras or these larger scale floras, you might come across some terminology that you don't know or that you don't regularly use. And this has almost all of the terms that I've ever come across in, with sketches on what you're supposed to look at. So keeping one of these, a terminology guide, or this one, or a guide that's very similar, there's some other good ones out there, it's really beneficial and could really help you out. Also, another thing that you might want to have on hand is a hand lens, so you can have some magnification for those really hard to see characteristics, like if the stem is tomentose or not. You might want to take this out and look for some little hairs on the stem. If you don't have these materials available to you, if you don't have these larger national floras or regional floras, you can go to a university herbarium or try to make an appointment at a university herbarium and get some help that way. But a way that I really like to learn is just by going out into the field with people who have been doing this for much longer than I have. And then you learn new skills, you learn new plants, and then you can key things out together and make it easier. Okay, so thank you for watching. You can view some of our keys that we're making for the common plants in your area on our website. And if you are keying out a plant and you need some verification, you can check out the National Wetland Plant List website to verify your plant with those that have been vouchered. Thank you. Bye.